Hey Tuvies, it's Psychic Bob. It is so awesome to be with you. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Saturday. You know what that means? It's time for our Saturday Spiritualist class in our Seance. And I started this series, especially for those who are new here. I do this every Saturday, and this is for people who want to learn about the religion of Spiritualism and also experience a seance each week and connect with the spirit world. So that's what we do. We have a little class, little spiritualist teaching, and then we have a seance. So I hope you'll stay with us for this afternoon's class. We're working on a book right now. For those of you who haven't been following along, we're doing a readings today from Sylvia Browne. We're studying this book, Mystical Traveler, because so many of you have written to me, says, Psychic Bob, I feel called to do something for the spirit world. I feel called by God. People think I'm crazy, but I want to do some service in this world. You're not crazy. You're being called by the Spirit. And some of you are being called to be mystical travelers. Here's the word, mystical traveler, right there. And that's somebody who devotes their life to God. Don't worry if you're 20 years old and saying, I don't think I can be a mystical traveler. I'm not ready. You may or you may not be. Now, I've been doing spiritual work since I was a teenager, but it wasn't until age 40 that I actually took on the mystical traveler mantle. It is a big position to take on, big responsibility. So if you're not ready, don't worry, but you can still learn about it and think about it. And some of you now, you said you're ready, and that's great too. So wherever you are in that journey, just be open to learning and considering how this might help your life. We're going to continue on this book. We're starting on page 38 of Sylvia Browne's book, Mystical Traveler. I would encourage you to get this book. We're not too far into it. It's a small book, as you can see, and you can get through it pretty quickly. But we're going to be reading this every week and working through it. So you might want to get a notepad, take some notes, or get the book and follow along too. By the way, I'm not being endorsed by Sylvia Browne Corporation or Hay House. So no sponsorships from them, but it'd be nice to get sponsored, but we're not officially at this time. All right, we're going to continue. We're starting up here at the top of page 38. And we're in chapter 2. By the way, I know for those of you who haven't been following, this will be strange. We're in chapter 3 called A Covenant with God. And just follow along. I think you'll pick up with what's going on if you haven't been following. All right. So this is Sylvia writing. She writes, my spirit guide states that as far back as records go, there has never been a mystical traveler who resented or didn't want his or her mantle. There have been many advanced souls who didn't use the term mystical traveler, but they didn't need to know the title to be included. How many times have you met people and you can't explain it, but they shine with such a brilliance that you feel that you're part of them and they part of you? Or what about those who, no matter what happens, know that God will take care of them and that they will prevail over all adversity? Well, they're all advanced entities, whether they realize it or not. Such individuals have a spiritual beeper that goes off so that everyone can hear it, as well as a need to serve others that simply becomes second nature. Now, I want to just pause right there because Sylvia brings up a good point that you're going to say, well, Psychic Bob, I know somebody who's just like what you're describing. They're so amazing and so advanced, but they don't believe in being a mystical traveler. They wouldn't use that term. And that's true. Not a lot of people, I shouldn't say many people who are mystical travelers are doing the work. They're not hung up on the title, and they don't even know it. In fact, it was interesting when I became a mystical traveler, I didn't realize what it was that first year. I just knew I was being called. And it was later through Sylvia's books that I came to understand what that calling was and how that was defined. So don't worry if you understood this term or heard it. You might say, I never heard of it, so I guess I'm not a mystical traveler. No, your mystical traveler is your own covenant with God, your own covenant with Spirit. And like it says here, there are people, and we've all been around, they just shine with a heavenly light. Like they just come into a room and you just, wow, you're awed by them, and they live their lives in such a way in service. That is an amazing blessing. And I think, we see it. When we see it, we know it. We really do. So let's continue on. This is Sylvia talking about her church. She founded her own church called Novus Spiritus, which means Church of the New Spirit. For example, my church has started a school sanctioned by the government to teach people to become hypnotherapists. And we'd like to create one for children as well as a place for the elderly. Yes, all this takes time and money, but I feel that it gives more honor to God than a large ornate cathedral would, especially if we use it only to worship on Sundays. We give to charities such as the Montel Williams MS Foundation and the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and we donate hundreds of toys and lots of food, all of which also honors God. Isn't that beautiful? See, so Sylvia is one of these people. When she became a mystical traveler, she founded her church, Novus Spiritus, and she does so much charitable work. So I know a lot of people, not a lot, but some people criticize Sylvia. Now, God rest her soul, she's in the spirit world now. But when she was on Earth, some people were very cruel to her and called her a fraud, said she was evil. But I can tell you, I knew people who personally knew Sylvia, and she was a mystical traveler. She really lived it. She gave her whole life to her service. And people said, well, yeah, Bob, she made a lot of money as a famous psychic. She charged a lot of money for readings. She was worth her money. She had developed her talent, her skill, and she charged a fee that was appropriate for her level of success and her level of knowledge. So I don't think that disqualifies her. But if you knew what she did outside of her readings, you would know that she really lived everything she preached. And that's the part that the media never tells you. You know, the media always wants to build people up and break them down. They'll make you famous one day and then they'll attack you the next. But if you're a mystical traveler, you don't care about any of that because you're worried about serving the spirit and serving your fellow human. And that's what Sylvia did. And everything she said here is true. And there's even more. She goes on to write, she says, I'm not trying to say, look at us, aren't we holy and good? I only mention these works because they're just a few examples of what some committed souls can do. And it's small compared to the effort of others. But as Francine and I have always said, it's what you can do within your own resources and framework that matters. Now, Francine's her spirit guide. That's who she's talking about here. But I want to pause there and say, you know, not everybody can be a Mother Teresa and go to India and set up a home for the dying. And you might be tempted to say, well, I can't be a mystical traveler because I'm not like Sylvia or I'm not like Mother Teresa. You can be a mystical traveler, as it says here, with whatever means you got. Maybe all you can do is put $1 in the poor box at church each week. You know, a lot of Catholic churches have a little, they call it the poor box. You just put money in it. But if you're consistent and faithful in giving that dollar, even if it's only $1, you know, you're doing the work of spirit because you're doing what you can do. So don't judge yourself against other people's works. Some people have been given the ability and the connections to have great successes. Some of us can only do a little bit. But whatever you do, do it faithfully and do it consistently, and you'll be serving God. You'll be serving the spirit world, and you'll be a mystical traveler, I'm telling you. Let's continue on. Mystical travelers don't have to start churches or foundations, although some do. They also open schools, hospices, and medical clinics, and they give away resources, including their time and energy, wherever they're needed. What's most important is that they're consistent in the way they live good lives and love God. Now, didn't I just say that there? She said, I hadn't read that yet, but I think that's interesting. So as I said earlier, I said, be consistent in what you do. And this is what Sylvia says. You're doing your work consistently. You've got to focus in sincerity. You're doing the work of spirit. And I'm with her on that. We can find mystical travelers in politics, science, ecology, and even the celebrity world. They can be anywhere and in any occupation as long as they're there living out their lives in service to God and making a difference in the world, be it in a big or small way. Even those who are toiling in hospices, taking care of disabled children, tending the elderly, or simply living a life of sacrifice for others, are lighting candles of spirituality for all that they can, which is the mark of a mystical traveler. Now, do you see what she's saying there? We tend to always say, well, Mother Teresa or Sylvia Browne reaches millions of people. They're the mystical travelers. But as it said here, even just somebody toiling away in a hospice. I know somebody who's a hospice worker. And, she goes every day to help people that are preparing for their transition. And I think it takes a special spiritual power to be able to work with the dying. Because most people in our culture, at least in America and the Western European culture, we avoid death. We run from it. But a hospice worker goes in every day facing death. That's a great task. Now, I asked this hospice worker, I said, well, how many people do you work with, like during a week? And they said, well, the average case is maybe, 3 or 4 people that I deal with on a regular basis at a time. I said, wow. Now, see, somebody who's vainglorious and materialistic will say, oh, they're only helping 3 people. That's nothing. But the Spirit doesn't see it that way. Spirit says that person's given so much energy to help these souls prepare to go home. I wonder how many of us could do regular hospice work, So that person I know, they may reach 6 to 8 people over a year's time, 3 or 4 at a regular time, and then some of them pass on, more people come. So maybe they reach 10 people a year. But that's more work than most of us ever do. So don't ever judge and criticize. Know that the mystical travelers can take work in many ways, shapes, and forms. And so if you're feeling called to be a mystical traveler and you're saying, well, Psychic Bob, I don't have the resources to reach 10,000 people, you don't have to start with it. Start with one person. Maybe your one spiritual work is, as I said, giving $1 a week in the poor box at church. Maybe that's all you can do. You say, I don't have anybody. I got $10 every month. Well, you could give maybe $1. You bet you could. And if you did, Spirit will bless you. It's the truth. So maybe your work as a mystical traveler is to give $1 to the poor. And if you start that, maybe God will bless you and you'll suddenly be able to give $2 to the poor. And before you know it, you got enough money saved up that you could build a whole shelter for the homeless. You see, that's how it starts. Just start small. Don't feel like you got to go tackle everything, because if you do, you probably won't even begin. But start little and let the Spirit lead, because everything that we do is by the power of Spirit. So anyways, these are some things, as it said, you can be a mystical traveler, whatever walk of life you are. And I think it's a beautiful book. So we're going to stop there because we're going to have our seance. But I want you to think about that today, because I know a lot of you are being called to be mystical travelers. Some of you have called me for private readings, have said to me, Psychic Bob, I know in my heart I'm going to be a mystical traveler. I'm being called to service. And some of you said, my families are so against it. They don't want me to be spiritual. They think that it's too crazy. They don't want me to do any service. They say that the poor are just taking advantage of everybody. Listen, if you're being called, you ignore all those people. And you may lose some people along the way. There are sacrifices when you take on the mantle of a mystical traveler. But I tell you, everything that I lost as a mystical traveler was made up to me 100-fold. And I mean that. And I won't go into all that now. Some of you who know me know my story. But I've never regretted stepping onto my path of service. I've never regretted becoming a mystical traveler. It's a little scary at times. Yeah, it was. But I also knew I had power in high places helping me. And that power is available to you. We're going to have our seance now. And I want you guys just to pull up your chairs here. We're going to dim the lights here in just a minute and have a little seance. For those of you who are new here, I am what is called a trance channel or a trance medium. It's spelled Trance. Last week I was telling people, some people thought when I said I'm a trance medium, they thought it was trans, Trans. They're like, Bob's transgender. I said, no. I'm a male. I've always been a male. I'm not changing to female. I'm a trance, Trance medium. So I just want to clarify that, because that flipped some people out. They thought I was going transgender or something. No. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Hey, do what you want. But no, I'm a male. I'm a medium. I'm staying a male. I'm staying a medium. And we're going to have a channeling. Trance channeling is when I go into a trance state, Trance. Spirits overshadow my consciousness and move temporarily into my body and take temporary control. It's not possession. Possession is when a spirit violently forces itself into somebody against their will. Trance channeling is a blending of energies. I connect with the spirits, they connect with me, and I allow them to manifest through my body. I give them a physical apparatus to use. Kind of like, for example, if you had a cell phone, right? And let's say you had a friend who needed to call somebody and they didn't have a phone. You loan them your cell phone so they can make the call. Well, I loan the spirits use of my body just for a little while, and they are able to come and speak to you. So that's how it works. So it's nothing scary. It may look a little strange. I'm in no pain. When I channel, it's like I'm off kind of in a sleep state. Once in a while I hear stuff come through, but I don't really know I'm not connected to it. So it's always an adventure. And when I get back, I have to replay the video to see what came through. So we'll see what they bring today. Hopefully they'll come. That's the thing about being a medium. You never know who's going to come or if they'll show up at all. But we're going to invite them. So stay with us here. Get your chairs ready. Go grab a snack and join us. If you need to, pause this video, get comfortable, get your notepads. And I encourage you, take notes and see what they say. There'll be things you'll want to remember. All right, we'll just stay with us or take a little break, get your stuff, and we'll continue in just a moment. Well, Tubies, we're going to have our seance now, and I want you to gather your chairs here around me. If you were in my home, which in a sense you are, virtually, I would have you just pull up chairs here in a circle, around me, and we'd have a little seance circle. So pull up your chair to your computer and know that virtually you are here in the circle with us tonight. I'm going to go into trance, and we'll see what happens. So make yourselves comfortable. I'm going to dim the lights. I like to work in a softer light. Let me take the light down here. Oh, it's kind of dark. Let's see if I bring up this other light. Maybe that will help a little bit. That's a softer light. Let's take that down just a little. I have to experiment with the lighting. Yeah, that's better. All right, I'm going to go into trance, and I'll see you when I get back. Oh, there we go. I think we're in the medium's body. I hope y'all can hear me out there. This is Fletcher. Oh, I tell you, I've been traveling about the earth today, checking out the scenarios here. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of people out here in this Washington, D.C. area. They're running around like people with the craziness, acting mad and driving like crazy. Oh, I'm so glad I'm in the spirit world. I don't have to get caught up in all this holiday rush. Oh, now, not that I don't like holidays. I certainly do like them holidays. But people on the earth got to remember what the holiday's about. It's about being spiritual. It's about celebrating life. It's not about who can get ahead in line to buy something. Oh, I tell you, the materialism's running rampant across the world. And we in the spirit world, we're noticing it. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed today, you got to just step back. Try to remember what it's all about. It's about the light coming to the earth. Whenever we get a chance to come here, we always feel that we're bringing a little bit of the light of heaven with us, and that's certainly our goal. Well, our medium here seems to be doing well. We've got a stable vibration. So I'll be stepping out of the body. We've got a few other people who want to be saying hello to you. This is Fletcher, over and out. That's how we go. You think we're in the morning. Whenever we of the spirit world come over to the earth, it's always an adventure. We never know if we'll be received. First of all, if the medium can sustain the vibration. And we never know, even if he can't sustain it, if you can hear it. It takes a lot of work to be able to adjust the frequency so that, one, we do not injure the medium, but two, that our voice can be received in the earthly physical vibration. The vibrations of the etheric world are much more refined than that of the earth. It is true that everything in the spirit world exists that is similar to the earth realm, but it is of a refined nature, a higher frequency, a higher vibration. And if you understand this, then you will understand how spirit communication works. You see, many earthlings think that they can just walk into a haunted house and have instant rapport with the spirit. This is not always the case, for there are varying frequencies and vibrations. Some of the earthbound spirits are so trapped in a density of the etheric realm that they do not even see the humans that are possible. Some humans say, well, I see a ghost walking down the hall, but it does not even see me or acknowledge me. This is very possible because they may be in a vibration, though close to Earth, is slightly askew, and therefore the frequencies are not in alignment. They do not perceive you. And were you to suddenly be visible to them, they would think of you as a ghost. Know that our world and your world are very similar, though at different vibrations. This is why some people on the earth are able to see spirits. Some of you look and you say, I can see a spirit. Others will say, I'm standing right with you, I don't see the spirit. It is because each person's frequency and ability to perceive vibration is slightly different. When we seek to communicate from our world with your world, such as through a medium, through a channel, we have to find a frequency that reaches the largest amount of people. And so when we use a medium's body, we have a good sense that the frequency will match enough that we can make an impact on the physical vibration. There are times when we do speak through a medium and yet the voice fades because the power is not sufficient, or there is some other electrical imbalance or disturbance. Atmospheric conditions do play a role in spirit communication. For example, there was a time when I was a young man, when I was at a seance, and there was a medium who had the gift of independent voice phenomena, a wonderful lady actually. And when she would sit in trance, spirit voices would materialize in a room. However, during that time, her power became weak, and the voices some nights would fade almost to whisper, and sometimes they would be strong. It is a combination of both the spirit's power and the medium's power which allows the phenomena to occur. And so this is why some of you, when you go to haunted locations, some of you say, I could hear a voice, but it was only a whisper. And some of you would say, I heard a voice that seemed as if it was shouting. The frequency and ability of each person to work in harmony with the vibration is a factor that must be considered in all circumstances. So as I said, when I was a young man and I went to the seance, the medium some nights had voices that would come in and they'd be booming. Literally, the room would vibrate, the glasses on the table would vibrate, and there was a great sense of power in the room. And then other nights it would be just a whisper. And I used to say, well, she's not a very good medium. She can't always produce a beaming, booming voice. But you see, that was my ignorance. I did not understand the things of spirit then. And I judged that medium unfairly and rather harshly. And one night I even had the gall to say to her, I said, well, I could barely hear the voices tonight. I'm not too impressed. Never mind the fact that a being had come from another dimension, materialized in the room in a physical way, and made himself known. Here I was, a young upstart, very full of myself, thinking the medium was daft. The very fact that the spirit could be there was a miracle in itself. I should say that the other people who attended the seance were still quite impressed and amazed. My arrogance got the better of me, and I was soon put in my place by one of my teachers who said, can you do what she does? Can you make a voice appear? Well, I suppose when I sat down and tried to do it, I got very little result, in fact, no result. Mediums are people who have an ability that is oftentimes not understood by the world. And so if you encounter a medium, be very careful in your judgment, because they can probably do things far beyond anything you could do. Here I was criticizing that medium for only manifesting a whispery voice one night, And I totally overlooked the fact that there was a voice present. That alone was a miracle. And for the medium to even do that was quite amazing. I was humbled in this process, and so I've come to understand that one should not judge a medium, but one should be supportive of a medium. We're most thankful for our medium here who allows us to channel through him. It takes much energy on his part and on our part to form this union that we might come through and speak to you. But we come and we celebrate this time of year. As Fletcher said, many of us are looking upon the earth now. And, the light and the darkness is a theme that always comes back to me. Many of the homes in this medium's area have beautiful lights around them. We've looked in upon them and seen the beautiful light, and we said it is a reflection of spiritual knowledge and truth. Whenever you decorate your home, whether you put up lights or what you call a Christmas tree, you light it up, and put lights on your home, it is a sign that somewhere within you, you know the light, that you want to express the light. And so remember, if you're feeling at this holiday time a little despondent, a little lonely, a little out of sorts, perhaps the answer for you is to find some light and put it up, that you will see and be reminded that you come from the light. The light is on the earth. The light is re-emerging even in the darkness. And that someday you will emerge from the dark earth into the light of the spirit world. Every time Christmas lights are put up, it sends a message of our world to your world. Perhaps this week you could walk through your neighborhoods and look for decorations and say, look at these homes that have the lights. And when you see a home that has a light, that means that indwelling in that home is someone who inside knows that there is hope, that they know there is light. And so if you feel despondent and alone, and you feel that you're losing hope, seek out the light, even if it is only in your neighbors' homes. Seek out the light within you. If you spend time in meditation, the light will reveal itself to you, and you will discover joy again and peace. Fletcher says there are others who wish to speak, so I shall be stepping from the body. May the light be with you. My name is Alfred. Oh, there we go. Oh, it was very smooth transitioning today. Sometimes when we move in and out of a medium's frequency, it's a little bit rough, it's a little jarring to us and to the medium. I saw a medium once in London, a beautiful gentleman, very refined medium he was, except when occasionally he would go into trance, he used to go into convulsions. It would only last a moment or two, but it was rather shocking. And when he would come from trance, he said, oh, I felt that was a bit rough, I don't know what happened. And I said, oh, I don't know, it's a bit scary to me. My neighbour Madge would drag me off to these meetings, down at the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain. I have to say I didn't much believe in it, but I could not help but remember that example of that medium in his convulsion. It's so pleasant for us when we can find a medium with whom we're in rapport, and that we can move in and out of their frequency. As many of you know my story, this medium brought me over from the place of darkness, from the place of purgatory. And I've stayed with him ever since. I was so very thankful for his assistance. I wandered in that darkness for many years, thinking myself having the knowledge of it all, thinking I'm not dead, I refuse to hear the angels. Oh, my dear, I did give everybody a bit of a time, didn't I? They're so kind over here. When I finally got over to the light, I was received with great love. Let me ask each of you, as Alfred was speaking tonight, I heard him speaking about the light. The light is the very light of God, the light of divinity. The divine dwells within each of you, my dears. Do not forget that. Know that you are loved. If you think you have no value, and some of you here tonight are saying, well, Rose, I've been a bad person, I've done horrible things, I have no love, no one loves me, and I don't love anyone. I can tell you for sure, my dear, you are loved by the eternal being of infinite intelligence, or God is the simpler term. That being is the eternal spirit of light and love, and you come from it, you are part of it, and there is no way you can be separated from it, unless you choose to be. If you feel alone, know that you are a child of divinity. And if you feel alone, know that we of the spirit world are very pleased to come and keep you company. But you must ask, you must say, Rose, will you come and sit with me tonight? Alfred, will you come? Fletcher, if you call on any of us, we will come to see you. And we'll bring other company with you. Some of you are just waiting to make a connection with your spirit guides. And I have to tell you that we will oftentimes help bring them over to you. Some of you are saying, Rose, I swear there was a person in my room last night talking to me. Am I mad? No, my dear, you're receiving a message from spirit. Some of you will be fortunate enough to have a spirit literally come into your room and talk to you. For some of you it will be more subtle, though, a little knowing, a little nudge, a little sense. Receive us, however, we're able to make the connection. As Alfred was saying, everybody's vibration is different. And so do not judge one person's experience as valid and another's as invalid. No, my dear, each person has their own connection to the spirit world. And if you allow us to come in whatever way we can manifest, without judgment, my dear, then you shall begin your connection to our world. And please understand this, that when you seek a connection with the spirit world, it takes time, like any relationship, to develop. You don't suddenly meet people on the street and invite them in for tea. Well, most people don't. I suppose some do, but I never did. You get to know them. You might say, well, I'll see you at the library, or I'll see you at church. And then after church you talk a little bit. And over time you get to know each other, and then you invite them to your home. This is how it is with the spirit world. Our beginnings may be very brief with you, and yours with us might be brief as well. And that's all right. Take your time, little by little. Each of us get to know each other, and we develop a rapport with you and you with us. So do not fear if you do not have instant, full, deep connection with our world. Know that we're working on it and you're working on it. And under the light of the divine spirit, all of us are growing together in light and in love. Alfred was so right that it's this holiday time. The light upon the earth that many of you see in homes and houses all over the place, it is a reflection of our world. No, most people don't think of it. They just say, oh, the pretty light, we'll put it out. But somewhere within them, there is a knowledge that there is light to be manifest. And so you can draw power from these lights. If you feel you have no light, and if you feel you're a person of darkness, go and seek out some beautiful Christmas lights and say, I absorb that light into me. And hopefully it will lead me to the spiritual light. Light is light, my dear, whether it comes from our world or your world. It's all interconnected. Oh, I know some will say, well, that's physical light, and we want spiritual light. But, my dear, take what you can get. One will lead to the other. Remember, as above, so below. As below, so above. So the spirit light is within you and about you, and it is not hard to access, but you must have a mind of openness and a heart that is willing to receive love. I know this holiday time for some of you is a time of bitterness and pain. And you say, I have so many horrific memories of Christmas. I remember Christmases of great poverty, of abandonment, of poverty, of hunger. For some of you, it was the opposite. It was indulgence. Some of you come from wealthy homes where you've had everything, and yet you were unhappy, even despite all the luxuries. Know that the light is the true gift of this season. The material things, though they are lovely, are not so nearly as important as the light. So if you're lacking in light, one of the best ways to generate the light is to give love to someone. Find someone and share a little present with them. Oh, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Maybe just put together a little basket of tea for them. Take it to them. And if you share your light and love with them, you'll receive even more than you can imagine. Also remember to ask for us. Call upon us. We will go with you to do your visitations to help those in need. It's a wonderful time to wrap up a little present and give it to a child somewhere. You know, the other day I was out and I saw some American Marines. They were setting up a display, and I think it was something they called Toys for Tots. I think that's what it is. Anyways, our medium was walking by and I was watching him, and I caught my eye. I said, "Oh, what is that?" And I soon come to understand it's a charitable thing. Do charity at this time of year. Find a toy, give it to a Marine, at least in the United States. We give it to somebody in the Salvation Army as well. Find a place to give out a toy to a little child. In so doing, you'll be walking in the light. If you need the light, give the light, and therefore you shall receive the light. You will never outgive God. The divine spirit of infinite intelligence has unlimited resources. And if you say, "Rose, I'm poor, I can't give anything." Oh, my dear, I bet you can find something to give. Even if it is your time. Perhaps your time you could volunteer at a place to help elderly people, or volunteer for the homeless shelters. There are ways to give of yourself that are more meaningful even than money. For some of you, the time is not present because of your careers, so you can give money. Either way, my dears, give from the heart and you will have the light within you. Alfred was saying about the Christmas lights, and I have to agree. Go and look for them, study them, absorb that light, and ask for infinite intelligence to give you the illumination of the body, the mind, and the spirit, and you will have joy untold. Richard said our medium's power is waning, so we shall not tax him. But we do so very much thank you for receiving us at this time, and we hope in our heart to be connected and united with all of you. We thank you for receiving our messages and giving us an opportunity to come to the earth again and be here with all of you. The power is starting to fade, and so I must leave our medium. But please remember to call upon me in your unease. Tubies, well, I am so glad that you were here today. And, you know, I love to channel. Whenever I channel, it just uplifts me. And I hope that this has been a wonderful experience for you as well. Listen, if you want to help me out, please help me out. Like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends, hit subscribe, be part of our channel. We'd love you to be here. If you get a chance, pop over to my website. I got wonderful books there about my work as a psychic medium. These are all published works. You can get over at my website at psychicbob.com. The link for my books will be below. And if you want to call and get on my schedule for a private reading, I'd love the chance to sit down with you. You know, private readings, you and me, one-on-one for a full hour. We cover everything, past, present, future, spirit guides, and answer all your questions. So give me a call, 703-825-3929. Again, Bob Hickman, 703-825-3929. Link will be below for that as well. And you can get it also at my website, psychicbob.com. You guys are best. I love you. Keep it here at Spirit Show. We got more coming. Tomorrow night is the witching hour. Be here 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. London, 2 a.m. Paris time. And whatever time zone you are in, wherever else you are in the world. But we welcome you to join with us, and we're going to do a live broadcast, and we're going to take questions about Wicca and magic and talk about the mystery of the Green Man and the magic of the season. So anyways, I look forward to seeing you guys here tomorrow. You guys rock. I love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And until then, may you always blessed be.